our project. I'm making this setting up for your watercolor project assignment separate than the actual project because I want to make sure that we are all prepared and have everything set up correctly before we begin painting. There's a couple things we need to do. We need to crop out our picture, place it on the artboard. We also need to add texture to our artboard. And then of course we need to make sure that we have our layers organized. So we're gonna start off in Photoshop making a new file, and we're gonna go ahead and call this watercolor flower. And we're gonna make it 6 inches by 6 inches. Make sure that you are in inches. And I would like to eventually print these, so we're gonna set it up for CMYK at 300, the highest resolution, and create. Okay, now let's go ahead and get our flower. I'm gonna go into my libraries. Luckily, you should have a watercolor flower Creative Cloud folder that you made already. We're gonna go down here and find the flower that you want to use. I actually like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and choose it. And I'm opening it up separately in its own tab in the document window. I'm going to grab my rectangular marquee and I'm going to set it for a fixed size. So I'm going to go to fixed size and I'm going to type in 6 inches. And yes, you need to type in the word inches, INCHES, and 6 inches, so that my restriction is very small. I'm going to click once on my artboard, and then thinking about where I had my viewfinder when I was holding it up to this flower, I want to focus my attention here. So this is going to be the area that I'm choosing to paint. Okay, I'm going to move it over to my project using the move tool. Hover it over and place it. I'm going to make sure that it's perfectly centered. So using my smart guides, Command T, and then as I drag it out, I'm holding Option and Shift and keeping it so that it comes from the center. If you find that after you've brought it in, it's just not your thing, you don't like it, you can of course go in, close the original flower, and then open up a new one and start the same process. All right, so this looks good. It's blurry, but that's okay. I'm gonna clean up the edges a little bit when I do my final. Okay, so now we have artboard 1, which is great. It's all set up. I don't need to do anything else. Next thing I need to do is grab a new artboard. So I'm gonna hold my move tool down, grab the artboard tool, and then I'm gonna go from the top left corner all the way to the bottom right corner. I'm going to let go, and then I'm going to hit plus. The picture doesn't carry over, but we do have the same size artboard. So what we have to do is using the original move tool. So go back to your original move tool. You're going to click onto your original photo, hold Option, drag across, and hold Shift. Actually, don't hold Shift. I have actually found that to be a problem. Let's try that again. Just hold Option. Option is making a copy. It'll go across on its own straight, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, that looks good. Now, obviously, I can't paint on top of this because it's in color, and this is going to be my painting. So I'm going to grab my layers panel. And I'm going to drag it out just so you can see what's going on. So I have my artboard 1, which is completely set up. Nothing needs to be done with that. This one needs to be adjusted. So while I have this layer on, I'm going to go over to my adjustments panel, or I can go over down here at the bottom of my layers panel and click on adjustments. Now ideally, I'd like to turn it to black and white, but I don't have that option here on the list because of the file type of the flower. Excuse me. So I am going to go to Channel Mixer and I'm going to hit monochrome. And it's automatically going to put it into a similar black and white setting. But it's too light. Depending on your picture, you are going to have to adjust the black scale. So making it a little more contrast. That actually looks good, just like that. I like it. I can see the difference of the shadows. I can see the edges of my petals. That works out perfect. Okay, let's right click and clip mask that into the picture. And then let's focus on creating the texture. So I'm going to go back to layer 1, copy 2, and I'm going to double click on it. And I'm going to choose bevel and emboss and texture. Okay, now I have screenshots of these panels inside the assignment, so if you want to go back and look at the numbers, you can, but this is your panel and these are your numbers. So if you want to pause the video real quick, you can take a look at them and just copy them into your own panel. Texture needs to be checked off. It should automatically go to this pattern, so you shouldn't have to do anything, and everything else should be set up. You're going to click OK. And now, if you take a look closely at your artboard, you should have some texture. Okay, we want to paint on top of all of this. So I'm going to go back to my top layer, make a new layer, and I'm going to call this painting. Perfect. Now I'm ready to go ahead and get started on my project, but before I do that, what I'd like you to do is zoom out, making sure you can see both artboards as well as your layers panel, and take a screenshot of this so that I can make sure that you set up your project exactly the way it was supposed to be set up. Save that to the desktop and then upload that screenshot under this assignment.